Καλησπέρα, Σοφία Σακώ.
Εξάρχου. Φύα εξάρχου.
Εσάρχου. Εσάρχου. Σας ευχαριστώ. Thanks for your time and for giving me this really nice movie. Sophia, how was the idea of Animal born?
Well, it seems a bit strange maybe, but the initial idea for me was to make a film about work and about labor in Western societies, in capitalisms. So soon after, I thought, okay, my working system, my universe is gonna be the touristic industry because I'm Greek and tourism is the milestone of our economy. So I thought to make a movie about workers who are inside an all-inclusive hotel. I got a bit obsessed with the idea of the animators and what it means also in Western societies and in capitalism to entertain people and how entertainment keeps the system rolling. So then I said, okay, I will focus my idea on the entertainers, on these animators. Of course, this is the background in the end. The movie starts by putting by showcasing this universe and this social and political comment. But in the end, it's the story of these characters, and it ends up like an existential movie of the two main lead actresses.
Mhm. Okay, you are the scriptwriter of the movie. As the creator of the script, it looks like you know very well the tourist industry. How many times have you been in an all-inclusive hotel, for example?
Never. It's uh,
Pep-
it's not
pep-
it's not common for Greek people to go to all-inclusive hotel. It's mainly for the tourists. So I was not so aware of the exact environment. Of course, I know tourism. I was born here and I was raised here, so it was also very immense the growth of the touristic industry in Greece in the 80s and in the 90s. So it's something that really affected our society. And actually, I think that the last decades, tourism is actually a part of our identity. But I was never involved in touristic industry. I think the idea of this was mostly because of my country and also because, I think my profession has something to do with entertainment also. So when I decided that I will put the animators in the spotlight, I felt that I had an immediate connection with my characters.
Mhm. So you put the focus on how real life is confused with the working life of the movie characters. You cannot distinguish between these two lives. So are you talking about our society, especially Spain, Greece is nearly the same. We are focusing on in tourism industry.
I don't think so. I don't think that I talk only about this. I mean, I was in Spain quite a lot of times with this movie, and I felt the immediate connection of the audience with the film because it's kind of the same reality. But I think in general, for what you say, that we cannot distinguish our life from our work, it goes for any kind of workers. So for me, the actual very interesting allegory in my movie was that, okay, in my movie, my characters, they have to put a very specific costumes, usually with glitters and rhinestones or whatever, and they have to smile every day for the clients, and they have to deliver 24/7. But in general, I think that every employee in capitalism today, whatever job they do, they have to do the same. They put a costume, they work really hard 24/7, and they have to smile to the client or to the manager or to the director. So it's a bit more particular, my universe. It is the touristic industry. But I think the interesting thing about this allegory, I think that it applies to everybody, not only to Greeks, not only to Spanish people, not only to touristic workers, but any kind of workers in the end.
Mhm. And what do you want the audience think or talk about after watch this film, this movie?
Yeah. I really don't mind, meaning that I enjoy a lot that people will stay in one scene, in one moment, in the whole context. in the main character, in the second character, in the little girl, whatever, works for them and whatever makes them relate with the film. So it's not like I feel movies are like to make a meaning. That's not for me the reason to make movies. I think Animal is it starts from this starting point we discussed, like this political and social universe, but at the same time it's a roller coaster. I would enjoy audience just to enter the theater and be open to receive this film and to go along with the characters and how they feel. And for me, that's the most important.
Okay, let's talk about the characters. The movie is constructed in with three different points of view. I think it could be something like that. Kalia is the main character, and the teenager lady, and the younger one. Amazing job because the same girls at the same moment are constructed like one only character. Is something made on purpose?
Well, not in the beginning, meaning that from the beginning I had Kaya, so I knew what I said before, that my main character should be somebody that has been there for many years and what it means to realize that her life doesn't work anymore. Then I thought about the little girl, and I thought about the little girl because for me, this group of animators, I was considering them like as a modern circus. So when I had this idea of a modern circus, I said, okay, usually in this circus, like in the past, there was always some little kids moving around with them because they were the kids of the circus people. And these little kids, that's their whole life. The only thing they know. So they're fascinated by the life and they imitate them and they know how they have dancing skills or, that's the only universe they know. So I had these images of the little girl in this space. And then I thought about the idea of Eva, meaning the teenager girl, meaning that it will be interesting, like to put another character in this story that is an immigrant. He really wants to integrate. He searches for an identity, for a place, for a work. And through her eyes, we can, see how she feels about this universe and we can see it in another perspective. So I felt that it was interesting, these different journeys, that for the main protagonist, for Kaya, it's a journey of realization that this doesn't work anymore, but for Eva is the opposite. She wants really to integrate, she wants really to find a place in this universe. And I found this contradiction quite interesting. So I was writing this, and then at one point I thought like, what if I don't present the past of Kaya, of the protagonist, by dialogue or by flashbacks, but try in an abstract way to show her past through the other girls. It means that it's not like Eva's past is exactly like Kaya's past, but what if, I try to connect these dots. But I also appreciate if they just see the journey of these three characters on their own and not connect them. But for me, this whole universe makes this connection because we're all humans in the same universe. So there are things that connect us. Maybe our past is not exactly the same, but in a way it is. So that's why I thought about this idea.
Okay, Kalia. Let's talk about Kalia. Her acting is wonderful. I think that he won the best actress in Locarno Film Fest. So Dimitra, you knew her before because I saw Park just a few days ago, and suddenly, surprise, she's the same lady. No, Dimitra is in the first movie, and now is in this movie. So. Did you choose or did you thought at the beginning to this character to be built by Dimitra?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that when I started writing the script, among all the other ideas, it was also the idea of the character in my previous film. So I thought that this girl in Park, Anna, I thought what it will happen with her in like 10, 15 years, where she could be. And I thought that in a way, this character, Kaya, maybe is an extension of her life, that she could be this girl So because of that, when I was writing, and I was thinking about the image of Dimitra, but it's true that I was not sure about this, and I auditioned also some other actresses for this character because I knew Dimitras is very good in her acting skills and also her dancing skill because she used to be also a dancer. So she was, and also her body, everything was really appropriate for this film. But Dimitra in her real life, she's very introvert, very shy, very low key. And I was afraid that maybe it will be difficult for her to represent Kaya because Kaya, for me, from the very beginning, was a really strong character, really dynamic. And that, for me, was one of the most important elements for her, meaning that I wanted to present to the audience a character really strong. That's why I even start the movie with this she's walking on her hands, and we see her back, and she's really strong. So one of my main ideas was that I want to present a really strong character, but even this strong character in this system, in this life, can collapse. She changed her voice. Her voice is 2 octaves down to make it look more strong. Her normal voice is more high pitched, We change her walk, we change her laugh, we put some specific lines like when she says beautiful and all this extrovert feeling. So we spend a lot of time in rehearsals. We rehearsed for 6 months. So we spend a lot of time for her to be comfortable with this metamorphosis, to realize what is Kaya and to feel comfortable with this character.
Nice. Something that I want to talk about. Camera work. Monica Lenceska, something like that.
Yes.
You work with her as well, one more time in a park. But let me tell you something. I don't know, the camera is amazing for me, the camera work.
Yeah, I think Monica, as a DOP, she shares the same sensibility about humans, and she shares the same idea also that we can tell stories and we can describe feelings not only with the face of an actor or a close-up, but also through their body or through their movements. So we are very common in that. Both in Park and Animal, her work was difficult because there are a lot of characters. There's a group of people, and usually they move a lot and they talk a lot, and it's very complex. Yes, in Animal it was even more because it was also the choreographies. So what we did, it's funny because I was trying, to present to her the shot list, and it was completely confusing for her to understand the shot list when everybody was moving and changing position or changing actions and stuff. So in the end, we decided that she would come like 3 months earlier in Greece. So she attended all the rehearsals, the final rehearsals with the actors. She saw all the shows, all the Koblenz scenes, like the birthday scene, where is everybody and stuff. And then, because she had the visual part of it, then we could go to the shot list and be very precise to what we shoot. It's a combination of the actors and the camera. So Monica had to be really aware of what's going on in order to be able to shoot this, in a very tight schedule and very tight shooting we had.
Something very important at the movie, at your movie, is the soundtrack, no? And particularly, we want to know why did you choose I Can Boogie? It fits perfectly at the end of the movie.
Yes, well, it's very funny because everybody thinks that Boogie was there from the very beginning. It was not. Actually, the Russian song, the song that Eva sings in the end, The Million Rose, it was there in the script. I knew that this was going to be the song, the Russian song. But Boogie, I didn't know, meaning that in the last scene, the very important scene of Kaya, where she has to do the karaoke, I thought it was really important, the song and how this song is going to relate with her psychology, with her whole story, actually. So I was afraid to choose. Like I couldn't understand what this song could be. So it's interesting. I think now Boogie is gonna follow me in my whole life. Everybody talks to me about this song.
But it works very well, very, very well. Congratulations.
I know, I know. I
Just
didn't expect actually. I know it was emotional. I didn't expect to be so good for the audience. I felt it was good, but I didn't really expect that it's gonna work so well.
Mhm.
And it's funny all these months now that the movie is being presented that people always come after me and talk about Boogie or the right stuff, about how interesting it is that this kind of light and funny song suddenly has this quite sad dimension. I didn't think about all that they will happen. Now I realize, but I didn't understand that it's gonna be so strong for the audience.
Sophia, just to finish, as a director, what has been the most difficult part of the film for you?
Well, that's the miserable answer.
Mm.
Because the truth is that the most difficult part for me in cinema is how to make it happen, meaning the money and the funding. So I think for directors, the most difficult part, unfortunately, is that movies cost a lot. So you have to spend quite a lot of time, to wait for applications, for answers. You receive rejections, then you try again, and it's a whole journey that you're afraid that you're going to lose your faith in the meantime, or you're going to lose your interest to making this movie. So for me, it was quite a difficult part to keep my faith in this film, and I was always rewriting and changing stuff to make it all the time more relevant to me. And this needs a lot of passion. So usually when people ask me what's the best quality for a director, I say patience. you know you have to be patient and keep your belief in what you do. I mean, all of the other stuff are also really difficult. It was a difficult movie with a lot of extras, a lot of communication, choreographies, music, whatever. We were away from Athens, a huge crew and stuff. But this is also fun. It's part of the game. It's beautiful that you have all this crew and all these actors, and we all go for this movie, and we feel passionate to do. But the moment that you know that maybe this movie will never happen if you don't have the money, and all this agony, until you manage to secure the budget and do it, because actually you never know if it's going to happen.
So congratulations, you get it. So congratulations. Σας ευχαριστώ.
Thank you very much also. Happy to talk with you.
Thanks. See you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.